Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Now that my two obligatory informative videos are done for the day, it's time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. Now I've had multiple people, even people I know, message me going, Jason, have you seen that the Boogs and Not Strong Enough are collabing together? I was like, no, I haven't. And one of them was like, I think Strap-on Destiny is going to be on suicide watch at this point. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. And that is kind of an interesting thing because, there has been this whole dynamic between these guys, right? There's been a dynamic between these three guys. And of course, AlphaDestiny, I'll be nice, I'll call him AlphaDestiny. The ironic part, though, with his marketing is that a name like AlphaDestiny is actually ridiculously beta. And, even Eric kind of said that, even though that was his hero. Bugenhagen actually said, if you have to call yourself Alpha, you're probably not Alpha. The thing is, it's like, and this is legitimate marketing criticism, and you guys know it. Other than he appeals to a certain demographic, like most of his followers, are very much the guys who are never going to be in that category. I mean, he appeals to basically the incel and the gym cell. So his father set him up. His father set him up to be a Chad Alpha, right? He names him Alexander Leonidas. Right? Like, how do you get blessed with a birth name like that? Alexander Leonidas. Right? And not just call your channel Alexander Leonidas Fitness. Like, that would have actually been a better name than AlphaDestiny. It really would have. It would have been a better name. He messed it up. What do you expect? But, there's been this whole situation with them because Alex really looked up to, that's Alex, that would be AlphaDestiny, whereas an Alec is not strong enough. He really looked up to the Boogs and was emulating a lot of what he did with the odd lifts. And Eric actually said he appreciated the fact that he was promoting some of these odd lifts. But then, Eric did kind of do the show-off lift, the above the knee rack pull. But he later admitted it's not a good strength builder, it's not a good size builder, it does destroy equipment, and it is a show-off lift. Whereas in Alex tried to promote it as this massive mass builder. And to this day, he still has all these disciples who have no traps, who have no upper back, still coming in saying, I don't know, it blew my traps up. And they have this delusion in their head that it actually did. And then when you see them, none of them have traps. Like truth be told, if your main trap exercise is you're not deadlifting, you're not rowing, you're not doing the strict standing press, right? You're not doing any of those and you do nothing but above the knee rack pulls. Have you guys ever seen a guy who that's their only trap work who does 600 pounds for reps who even has traps? No. You don't. Now, before some of you guys come in and say, Jason, you don't have traps. You guys have seen me shirtless. You've seen me in a tank top. Don't pretend like your boy Strap-on actually has bigger traps than me. I'm sorry. You guys clearly haven't looked at pictures if you think that. So, go back over to the point. They're convinced that their traps have blown up, and then you look at them and nothing is blown up on them, like including their traps. So it's this weird set of followers he's got who followed because of that, right? And then Eric basically didn't like that, kind of pointed that out, has taken small pokes at him with the whole talking about you shouldn't call yourself an alpha thing. It's just something you are. And if you have to call yourself that, if that's really what you do, again, he was probably talking about the name. It's a problem. He also talked about these partials and above the knee rack pulls aren't a good mass builder. They're not even a great builder for your shoulders. And he talked about other stuff. And I think Eric had some great points there. I agreed with what he said about what will bring up your entire shoulder girdle. He had valid points there, and that is the point. You should not ever be focused on just one muscle in something like your shoulders because you're going to end up being imbalanced. That's going to be a problem. It's not going to look good. And I'm not even an aesthetics guy, and even I know that having big traps and no delts doesn't look good. You should be bringing up your entire shoulder girdle. So you had that whole situation, and then you had Not Strong Enough get interviewed by him, and then he trolled him. Like, he basically called Alex out on all of his lifts, trolled him, and Alex took the interview down. Everyone has seen it. And he basically told him his deadlift programming sucks. He doesn't know how to program the deadlift. That's why he failed. That's why he never reached his 600-pound deadlift. because he's doing all these exercises besides a conventional deadlift, thinking it's going to build his deadlift. And, and people need to understand strength is specific. I'm not saying accessory movements. I'm not saying general accessory movements or even assistance exercises aren't useful for your big lifts. They have their place, but strength is specific though. If you really and truly want to get good at a lift, you need to be doing that lift. He got so caught up in his own convoluted methods of bastardizing Westside that he lost sight of the big picture there. And, he lost sight of the big picture, and he has failed to be strong on any of these lower body lifts. He still can't really deadlift. He can't squat. He's done a lot of upper body stuff, but if you think about it, he's also done a lot of full range of motion, heavy upper body work. He did tons of weighted dips, tons of weighted pull-ups, tons of overhead pressing. That's going to carry over into all sorts of upper body strength. And you got to look at his leverages. He's a short guy. So, you had not strong enough bashing for that training. Tried to point out to him that the behind the back deadlift actually doesn't equal what he thinks it does. Most people, it's not uncommon to deadlift 200 pounds or more behind the back than you can do for a conventional. So they both have kind of knocked his dick in the dirt. But now these two are collabing, and I think that's going to be interesting. I mean, let's set aside the fact that not necessarily good for AlphaDestiny if these two continue to grow, and they build their outreach, because they're both real strong dudes. They both have a pretty good understanding of training programming, right? They have their own ideas, and some of their ideas are a little different, but they have some stuff in common. They both like the whole concept of Bulgarian style training. They both understand the need to get really, really, really strong on the basics. That is the secret to size, the secret to strength, the basics. And the basics can be an odd exercise. It doesn't have to be the squat, bench, the deadlift, right? That's people misunderstand that when we say the basics. But you need to do big basic exercises. Fine, you don't want to do the bench press. You can get really strong on the weighted dip. It'll achieve similar results, right? It'll achieve similar results, but you do need to remember strength is specific. So it won't transfer 100% to your bench, but you'll have a good bench. If you get super strong on the weighted dip, for example, and then you go start bench pressing, you'll probably build a really strong bench very quickly. But it might not be immediately. It'll take you a few weeks. It'll take you a couple months. But yeah, if you're incredibly strong on the weighted dip, you'll have the ability to get a strong bench really fast. So there's a lot of transfer on these things. Weight pull-ups, chin-ups, they transfer to each other. So, there is something to be said for just big, basic exercises in general. They do transfer to each other. But the thing is that these guys are promoting exercises that do work large amounts of muscle mass. So their idea of sometimes of these odd lifts that Eric and other people do, they're still big exercises with a long range of motion, right? And that's the key, and that's the point. I would still classify that as the basics. And there's something to be said for sticking with more conventional exercises, but that's a whole different topic that has to do with the amount of information that's available on them because people have used them. Thinking outside the box there in that regard isn't necessarily beneficial to you. It's being different just because you want to be, not because there's an advantage. Technically, there can be an advantage of doing conventional exercises from a coaching perspective and a knowledge-based perspective on them. It's actually, you're probably going to get better results. But some people want to be different. Some people want to market stuff. But that's not necessarily good for you as an individual who's just trying to get big and strong. Not advantageous for you to do that. So, they've all both have their own interesting styles. And what you end up here with now is that you've got the two Chad lifters versus the Beta Virgin rack puller, right? I think it's interesting. I'm curious to see where they go because they're putting up some big numbers. These guys are doing a number of different lifts. They're messing with some odd lifts like, I don't know, they're calling that a Romanian deadlift. That's not a Romanian deadlift. I'm not sure what it is because they're hitting the pins and losing the stretch reflex, but it's still... they're doing some big lifts. They're doing a bunch of stuff, weighted dips, rack Romanian deadlifts. And they're hitting some big numbers and showing off back and forth. And I think it does show that these are two guys who, even though one of them is a more advanced lifter, more mature lifter, and a younger guy, they both have a solid base built. They're both all the way around strong. And I think that's what demonstrating some of these odd lifts they're doing does demonstrate. is that these guys are all around strong, right? They don't have any real weak muscles in their body. And so they're doing some interesting showing off together, and I'll be watching it. I'll be kind of seeing what they're doing, and I think it'll be interesting to watch because I don't go to watch some of this stuff for the knowledge anymore. I don't feel like YouTubers in general, fitness YouTubers, really have much to teach me. Let's be honest, they don't. But I do enjoy watching the show a little bit, you know, some of this stuff, because these are guys who have unique and interesting training philosophies. They do get results, they're strong, and I'm just kind of enjoying watching what they're doing with these different lifts. Even though I'm very much a conventional guy with a lot of exercises, watching what they're doing, I think it's interesting because I think it's pretty good displays of strength happening there, just all around general strength, and I do appreciate that. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.